occasion, and I've always enjoyed working with him. And he brings a certain energy that's just gonna leave us feeling great after this session. So, Dr. Campbell, I turn the session over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Gillette. And remember, Gillette, I know you're helping me to co-host, so you'll see people come into the waiting room. There are some people in the waiting room as we speak. So I'm going to allow you the opportunity to let those persons in, so to make sure we're operating with a good technology. Yes, you're doing it. Fabulous.
Can I just say one thing before we start?
Yes.
If you have questions, if you could hold them till the end of the conversation.
Absolutely.
And just keep their mics mute, I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for joining this session. It's necessary, it's needed, and I'm very happy to see the number of persons in the room. I'm actually also taking the liberty or the opportunity to kind of do some of it on Facebook Live, so a number of persons can also be reached. But of course, you are the only person in this room who will get to see the slides and the good stuff and ask the questions. So we are happy to have you in the room and happy to have everybody in the room. You can also use the chat box, but as Juliet said, who is our host, is that leave the questions to the end, and I think we'll do a good job of that. I'm going to share my screen with you. So Juliet, it's over to you to let persons in, because I won't be seeing them for a while. All right. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with everyone. And can we see it?
Yes.
Awesome. Wonderful. So like I want to say again, welcome everyone. And welcome to this workshop, Living on the Edges. Looking at Black LGBTQ and the fact that Black Lives Matter, but also Black LGBTQ Lives Matter. And everything is not the same with all of us. And so we want to definitely look at this presentation, this workshop this evening, this talk, as looking at what it means to be Black, LGBTQ, and as we said, living on the edges. All right. And so that's where we are happening tonight. This is a two-part session. So this first part is public. We're making this one public, an introduction. Let me just stop for a minute to say thanks to Delta Family Services, of course, with one of the managers in the room, Gillette Allen, who decided to do this work. And more organizations really need to do this kind of work, because this kind of work is actually necessary. And so if you can see what the workshop is about, and it's two-part. This part is going to be the open section, public part, and then the second part we'll have a closed session with our youth. It's going to be definitely a closed session talking about sexual and miseducation, forming friendships and healthy relationships, and where the young people will really get. When I say young people, I mean all ages. As long as you're Black LGBTQ, you're part of this group. As a matter of fact, as long as you applied for access to this meeting and they vet you and you're allowed, you'll be allowed in. And so we're going to have those kind of conversations tonight, this evening, and also in part 2, we'll have those conversations. So as you can see on your screen, this is the outline of what the workshop is about. We're focusing on Black LGBTQ and identity. We're focusing on mental health. We're focusing on youth and sexual miseducation and education. And one of the most important things for me is about LGBT youth forming friendships and healthy relationships. Because I can tell you, and I see you, Kevin, shaking your head, because I can tell you, if you talk to young Black LGBTQ people, or just LGBTQ on a whole, you'll realize that there are quite a bit of persons who are struggling, and the area they are struggling in is actually in relationships, forming healthy relationships, and not just intimate relationship, but relationship with family, relationship with friends, relationship at school. You are still seeing that one LGBT person in the corner by themselves, because there's issues with those relationships, right? And I highlighted a few words. As I said, we're going to focus on part 1 and part 2. The first 2 tonight, and then in the next session, we'll focus on the next 2. And I highlighted a few words. Navigate spaces. When we say navigate spaces, what do we mean by that? And I want you to understand that as LGBTQ persons, it takes work, it takes effort to navigate regular spaces. what you call regular space. It takes work and effort for many of us who are LGBTQ, black young LGBTQ persons, to navigate those spaces. And so it's very, very important, very important that we understand the value on why we want to have that conversation with our young people about how to navigate space. I also highlighted the word live and thrive. We like to use the word thrive. But what does it mean when we said, what we mean is thrive? A simple dictionary meaning for thrive is grow and develop well. And I want you to consider that. Grow and develop well. Because that's what it's about, thriving. It's not just about growing. Anybody can, all of us, we grow. Once we sleep, we wake up, there's growth. But when we said about thriving, it's something different. And then the last phrase there I have highlighted is brave spaces. What do we mean when we say a brave space? Because what we have a lot happening in our society is that we talk a lot about safe space. And I must tell you, as an equity specialist, an equity, diverse, and inclusive specialist, I have moved away from that notion of continue saying safe spaces. I'm really walking away from the idea of continually saying safe spaces, because I don't believe a lot of spaces are safe. Safe for who? So when somebody says to me, a space is safe, I ask, safe for who? Right? And I've been to organizations where there is a safe space and it end up being a hurtful space and people are traumatized in that space. So for me, I say to people, I want you to create a brave space. So for me this evening, this is a brave space. We're talking about myself, Andrew Campbell, black Jamaican immigrant coming from a long way, understanding what it is to be LGBTQ in Jamaica, growing up, and able to do this with you, with so many people, so many professionals in this meeting this evening, and also broadcasting on Facebook Live. For me, this is a brave space. And I'm going to tell you why I say that for a minute. I'll share you something quickly. Years ago, a couple years ago, I went to a conference in Jamaica, and I was interviewed by the Gleaner, the newspaper. And I said a few things. I said a few very honest things, very simple things about myself growing up in church, only to get a phone call from my mom the next day to say somebody told her I was in the newspaper and I was a gay activist and I was saying bad things about church. And I had to speak to my mom and talk to my mom about what I said. And I walked away from that thinking, it doesn't matter what I do, I will need to be brave, because the idea of a safe space is almost pretentious. So I'm speaking to all of you young, black, or whatever race, because I see a lot of persons who are not black in the room, and I just want to say welcome to this space, because we're talking about allyship, we're talking about persons of influence, we're talking about how do you as an ally use your power and your privilege to help black LGBTQ persons. I see teachers in the room. I know some of you are teachers, so I'm happy to have you in this room with me tonight. And so for us, I want to establish that. So what does it mean when we say living on the edge? What does living on the edge mean? And I want to show you a few young people shared with us. One said, I take it as doing something that's dangerous or exciting. Another person says, to me, when I hear living on the edge, it means trying new things or taking opportunities. Another person said, going homeless or experiencing homelessness. Another person said, it means playing it safe. Doing what you can with a possibility of winning or losing. Also to behave in a manner which creates risks for yourself. I don't know if you have noticed something from what I just shared, but the common word that came out of all persons there was the word risk. Look carefully at the slide. And for those of you, I know there are persons who are watching other places, wonder how do you get in. If you look on my page down there, the Zoom access is there. And if you look on Delta Family Service page, actually, I'd rather you go to Delta Family Service page and you can get the Zoom access from there. The word risk is there because it is a risk. Living on the edge is a risk. And this is what I want to tell you. Life circumstance has brought many of you to the edge. Some of you were born at the edge. I talk to people from certain areas out west and certain neighborhoods in Toronto. I'm not talking about Jamaica now. I'm talking about Toronto, where it's risky. I'm going to tell you something. When I was growing up in Jamaica and I came out when I said came out, I came out to my friends and I started to go into, gay parties because I want to form community. We're going to talk about the value and the importance of forming community. I remember going halfway. We dress up regular, and bring your clothes to change for the party. I came to Canada, and I'm going to say this to you, Gillette, because maybe I'm not sure if you know this. I was shocked when I realized there are young people, black young people in Toronto who are doing this every single weekend. They are getting dressed from home, quote unquote, regular, and they are coming in downtown Toronto and they are changing their clothes because it's a risk to leave their house from certain communities dressed in a certain way, right? So we are talking about the reality. We are talking about the reality. I just made myself sorry. We're talking about the reality. Thanks, Gillette. I'm talking about the reality of living on the edge. Another slide I want to share. I have to share this one. It says it means taking a risk and going forward. It sounds like you live your life to an extreme, taking risks. Taking risks. Again, every single person who answered this talked about risk. And some of us are pushed to the edge. So some of us were born at the edge. Some of us are pushed to the edge. And some of us right now, as we are in this workshop, some of you young people right now in this workshop, you are standing at the edge. So I'm going to use a chat box. I want some interaction. So Juliet, you can help me monitor that. We're going to use a chat box for a minute. And I can see the chat box myself. And I want you, everybody who is in the chat box, whether you're an ally, whether you're an LGBTQ person, whoever you are, I want you to type for me. When you think about living on the edge, what comes to mind? Go ahead. I see somebody says, I really like that, a brave space. Somebody says, it's better than a safe space. Fear. Go ahead and type those words. Somebody says fear. Living on the edge. And if you're on Facebook watching, I welcome you to type also. What do you think about living? I like this word. Thank you. Uncertainty. But not just uncertainty. Constant uncertainty. And I can raise my hand and tell you, I've been there where I was in constant uncertainty. Should I? I'm not sure. If I do this, I'm not so sure. Should I? Constant. Causing distress, anxiety. I was at a workshop. It's funny you said anxiety because we're going to talk about that. I was at a workshop yesterday. It was yesterday, Wednesday. I went to a workshop with Leah Moncartier, soon to be Dr. Leah Moncartier, a black psychologist, and a black psychologist counselor. He works and he hosted a session, and the number of times they were talking about mental health, which we are going to touch on tonight a little bit, but the number of times the word anxiety came up. And I'm telling you, I didn't realize when I was younger how much anxiety I had until I'm understanding it now. That what I felt, those hurt, those cries, those days, it was that anxiety. It was those anxiety, the confusion, constantly policing yourself. So thank you for that. Thank you for that amazing participation in the room. And Juliet, I hope you're taking some notes from what desperation, self-doubt. I love this one. Surveillance. Powerful one. And I hope that, and I think that is self-surveillance you're talking, right? Living on the edge. Surveillance by others, but also self-surveillance. So what I did for the next couple slides, I'm showing you a number of slides of what happening in school, because a lot of persons like to think that it's not happening here. So we see that news where the Brantford students faced disciplinary action for racist, homophobic posts. You saw that a bunch of young people in a school baked a whole cake and did that whole thing on it. It's happening in our school. The news headline in last year concerning violent homophobic incidents common in our high schools right here in Toronto. These are from the news. I'm not making this up. These are news headline. especially transphobic comments. A lot of horrible transphobic comments. It's right there. The next one, the next headline, trans community needs more than awareness. We need to feel safe. Here we go again with this word, because right now they were talking that in this time they were talking a lot about awareness, trans awareness. And I have friends who are transgender, and I can tell you they are fed up and done with the word awareness. They need more than just awareness. You know, sometimes we do workshops. I'm very big. I'm very strong when it comes to my workshops of making sure I say to the participants, it makes no sense you pay me this money for us to have a pretend. I could stay in my house and I could pretend. I'm not doing this workshop free. I am being paid by Delta Family Services to do this. Oh yes, I'm working. Hello? Okay, right? And so why would Delta Family Services pay me to do this and talk foolishness to the young people? You have to tell them the honest truth. It's more than awareness. People want to be seen. People want to be heard. People want to be a part of. People want to live their life not feeling that they are unsafe. And I tell you, it's a different feeling to walk out of your house every day and feel safe, because I know the difference. I know the difference. Okay? Violent against transgender community, 2009. And that what I'm showing you, that picture on your screen, is pictures of murdered trans women. Nobody in that picture is alive. These are all dead people. So I want us to understand why this work is urgent, why this conversation is necessary, and why we can't play with this conversation. Many times we talk about equity, and a lot of us, we want to just check a box. And we're good with the check boxes. We're very good with the check boxes. But it's more than a check box. If you're going to be an advocate, you have to know that you have to create those brave spaces. I can tell you, whenever I do anything, I am broadcasting on Facebook Live, I guarantee you, before the night is out, somebody's going to post something somewhere that they see a Batman talking somewhere. And that's me they're talking. But I'm going to tell you something. You will hear this Batman talk non-stop about it, because it's not about me. I am good. But I remember as a child, as a young person in school, what I went through. And every day I see young people still going through that. So I am using my voice in this brave space to advocate for that. And that's why we are here. So let's get into our first of the 4 areas. And the first one we're talking about is identity. And give me a minute. I'm going to turn off this fan. Yes, I had my fan on. Because when I got ready first, I was feeling a little bit hot. Well, I'm always hot, right? And then I get to cool myself down. So now I'm cool, calm, and collected, all right? Oh, by the way, for those of you who know me well, I'm sure you all know me well. My signature is my brooch. So anybody notice my LGBT rainbow brooch today? And it's glistening. Oh, I'm never without my brooch, okay? And for those, I know somebody's asking what my shirt says. It says love is love. So that's what, for those, you can't see me. Okay, good. You see it? Love is love. That's what my t-shirt is saying. And I'm represented, and my hat is all, I'm represented. You know, some of you see this and you just think it's simple. I remember for me to, if growing up, back home, for me to have anything that looked gay, I'd have to hide that. This t-shirt would get me into trouble. May even get me killed in Jamaica. Or this hat could get me killed on a bus, right? And taught the truth, because I've been there, know what it is to fear for your life and according to what you're wearing. So let's talk about identity for a minute. Let's talk about identity. And I see somebody put the link in the Facebook window. So if you can stay there with me, but you can also join in the room to see the slides. So I talk about identity for a minute. And I have a few questions for my young people. And I want every one of my young people who are listening to take a picture of this slide. Use your camera, take a picture. As a matter of fact, you can take a picture of any slide. Take a picture of any slide. I'm not going to send a copy to you, but you can take pictures. So take a picture of this slide, because it asks some very pertinent questions. Who are you? Do you know who you are? How did you get to know who you are? Who knows who you are? Who have you shared yourself with? Who do you trust with yourself? And I want all my young people to think about those questions for a minute and to think about the importance of questions like that, because that's why we're struggling with identity. And I keep on saying young people, but I hope you understand. I'm calling all of us young people because I meet people. The other day, 3 years ago, I went to an event and I met a guy. He was 47, right in Toronto, from a black gay man, 47. And we just met and he were confiding in me. He saw me, at the event, be my usual self. And he said, I want to talk to you. And he started to confide in me. And he said to me, I live in a house, beautiful house that I own. My son is 16. I can share the story because, of course, it's anonymous. My son is 16. My son can bring his girlfriend in. His girlfriend can stay. 16. But he said, tell me what to do because I have to hide the guy I'm seeing through the back door. I want you to understand. 47-year-old black man. He owns his own home. He has a son who is 16. His son can bring his girlfriend to the house. But the father, the owner of the house, has to sneak in his lover through the back door. This was told to me 3 years ago. So when I say young people, I'm going to say all of us. Because many of us are yet to untangle ourselves. We are yet to find ourselves. We are struggling to find ourselves. And I'm not here to tell you it's going to be easy. I am telling you it takes work. It takes effort. But you have to find yourself. And I'm going to tell you why. You have to stay to the end. Because I have a few things I want to show you at the end to help you out to find yourself. Okay? So ask yourself those questions. I want to read something from Dr. Lance McCready. His book is called Making Space for Diverse Masculinity. It's a book I've used, Making Space for Diverse Masculinity by Professor Lance McCready at OISE. And I'm reading from page 111. It says, urban LGBT youth who are non-white and or immigrants experience tremendous isolation amid the wealth of resources of LGBT youth if they live in communities that condemn homosexuality for cultural and religious reasons. These youth may also experience isolation when they identify or express their sexual identities. Listen carefully. For these young men, being able to successfully negotiate the social and cultural norms of their communities depends strongly on how they display their gender identity and masculinity. I know what that is. To pretend like you're a rough guy. To walk straight. To talk with some bass in your voice. As a young man, I was told many times to speak with more bass in my voice. And walk like a man. And these are the abuse many black LGBT young people are going through even today. Walk like a man. Talk with some more bass in your voice. I wish the persons who told me that to realize I make good money from my voice. This same voice. So we have to teach our young people how to have that sense of self and strength and to untangle themselves, to get to know who they are, and they're going to be destroyed. And the last quote from it says, more emphasis needs to be put on the way masculinity and sexuality affect the experiences of black male students in our communities and the ones we serve. So identity is very important, extremely important. Right? Because many of us, we are marginalized and disenfranchised. So you got to know yourself. Let's move to the next one. So here's another activity. Go back to your chat room, everybody. Everybody go back to the chat room. And you out there, go to your chat room. Share one thing you fear. Everybody, I want you to share one thing you fear. One thing you fear could happen if you brought your whole identity to school or work or wherever you go. Type for me one thing you fear. And Judge is going to help me monitor the chat box. One thing you fear if you had to bring your whole identity to your spaces. Go ahead, share. And I'm sure you can see my chair is wrapped in LGBT flag tonight. I'm giving you the full on this evening. Let me see what people look. Very big one. Losing my job, rejection, isolation. Absolutely. Being killed, losing my job. I like that one, Javier. Getting pitied. That's a big one. And most of us, we get pitied, but we don't want pity. We want respect. Being disrespect, verbal abuse, loss of connection. Keep it going. Keep it going. More. Absolutely. It's fair. And it's a constant fear. Right? It's a constant fear. I remember a time. Thank you so much for your participation again, everybody. Excellent job. Thank you so much for your participation. I remember a time I used to hide from my own shadow. You know, people look at me and that is why they ask me to speak, because I want to speak from my own experience also to impart that to the young people. People look at me and they go, "Oh my God, Andrew, you're so brave. You're so this." I am, but it takes a process. I was not there all the time. I used to hide from my own shadow. I was telling a couple of friends the other day, when I used to go to Jamaica, when I left Jamaica in 2000 to live in the Bahamas, and also when I moved to Canada 2008, and when I used to go home to visit Jamaica, I used to take out what I want to wear, what I really want to wear when I go to Jamaica, and then I look at the clothes on the bed and I say, I can't wear that, 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 I can't wear that. Because I know just by what I'm going to wear was going to cause a problem. So I know what it is to be scared of my own shadow, to be scared of my neighbors, to be scared of how I feel or what I was feeling. But I want to get to a beautiful part of this presentation right now and to remind everybody in this room that your sexuality, get me carefully, your sexuality is only one part of your identity. And some of us, we have allowed people to always see us in one. Your sexuality is one part of your identity. And the sooner you get to understand that, the sooner you get to start to really unstuck yourself. You know, you have to work at unstucking yourself, because many of you are stuck. We're stuck at the edge. I don't know if you can visualize somebody at the edge and they are stuck. You can't pull yourself back from the edge because you keep that part of you is always there, and it's okay because it's a big part of you. But I want you to start to think about the other parts of you. How many times you meet somebody who is gay or LGBTQ, whatever, a transgender person, somebody who is queer, somebody who identifies as a bisexual or a lesbian, and then you see their artwork. They could draw, or they could paint, or they could dance, and you go, "Wow, you are so good at that." Why do you think we do that? I am guilty of it. We are guilty of it. You know why we do that? Especially those of you in the room who are not gay. You know why you do that? Because normally what happens is that we are so programmed to see your sexuality. We're so programmed to see your sexuality. So when we realize there's more to you, then we go, wow. We go, wow. When we realize there's more to people. There's more to me than calling me gay. There's way more to me. Absolutely. And we need to know that. So that's a book we are looking from this evening. That's my book that I wrote that Juliet talked about. And when we meet to the young people the next time, we're going to really go into certain things in it more. But I want to show you where I'm getting some reference on, because there'll be some tables I'm going to share with you. I'm going to share with you some tables, and you can get this on Amazon. And you're going to share with you some tables, and you're going to see where you get the information from. So I want to read from this book where young people talk about their identity. The first one said, "I felt like a circle in a square. I felt like I always had to be making excuses for being different. I felt like I committed a crime just because I was different." The next person says, "The most amazing thing growing up was that even before I realized I was gay, people around me were saying I was. So it was not a matter of hiding my sexuality. It was that I did not come into my own to realize it. The school was the most traumatic." And I can tell you right now, you're going to see, I'm going to show you a statistic in a minute to show you that school has always been and still is the most fearful place for LGBTQ. So when I talk to teachers and they give me foolishness and tell me rubbish, I don't back down. Because I'm saying to people, the research, I have tons of books in my house, LGBTQ books, tons of books, and I've done my own research. They will tell you school is the most fearful place. And the community and the home comes next. So we're talking about people who are trapped right now in their house with the wrong lover or an abusive husband or abusive wife. Think about the gay person who is trapped right now with an abusive parent, an abusive uncle, an abusive aunt, an abusive family. Because every time you get upset, the first thing you do is going to attack. Think about that right now. Let's get two more quotes from the book. This person says, I think it is important as one has to create one's own narrative. In fact, you identify as gay and you speak it. You are already one step ahead of your distractors. And that's why identity is so important. You have already come to that place of peace, of identification. Let's go to the next quote. It is important because one of the things about living your truth is also being authentic. Self-identifying completes that process for me. If I am not able to self-identify, then there are other things that can be brought into play. Many persons, because you hide your sexuality, because you hide who you are, you can't say much. Because you have not brought your whole self. And I know what it is to not bring your whole self to a situation. I'm going to tell you a sad story. And for those of you who have never had a workshop with me before, I use storytelling as a part of my pedagogy. So for those of you who have ever been in a workshop with me, you can guarantee you'll get one or two stories, because story tells a part of my pedagogy. It's from my African ancestral background. It's also from a very big indigenous practice that I respect, love, and honor. And nothing beats a good storytelling. And so for me, that's a part of it. I met a young man who I know from Jamaica, who was gifted. When I said, if he opened his mouth to sing, you want to look around. Amazing. And he had what we call the triple threat. He could sing, he could act, he could dance. And I left Jamaica in 2000. Excuse me a minute. I left Jamaica in 2000, and he left Jamaica, I guess, a little bit after that, went away to America. I had the privilege of just accidentally meeting him at a conference. He's now an adult, a big man. And I said, oh my God, good to see you. Wow. How are you? We're talking. And I'm going to tell you this. I want you to listen to me. The first thing came out of his mouth. He says to me, I want you to listen to this. He says, I don't sing and dance and do those things anymore. That's what he said to me. I haven't seen this young man in years. And that's the first thing he said to me. I don't sing, I don't dance, I don't do the things anymore. Because where he's coming from in Jamaica, those things was paired with him as being gay. And so to ungay himself, to ungay himself, to carve out this new identity, he threw away his talent. I walked away from him and I felt so much pain. I couldn't even explain to you how I felt. This young man thought, because he threw away his gifts and his natural abilities, nobody could now say he was gay. So it's as important to come into your full identity, because a lot of you out there who are gay, you are not living your best life. You are not living your full life. Who are LGBTQ, bisexual, lesbian, you are not living your full life because you are hiding from so much. You have to be adjusting to so much and to accommodate so much. You get what I'm saying? And so I want you to look at this. And it's important to have those identity. But I want to remind you that you are more than a label. You are more than identity. You know, people ask me, what do you do? And I said, I'm an educator. Because I used to say I'm a teacher. And every day I realize I'm more than just a teacher. So I want a big thing to put everything in, and I call myself an educator. So you are more than gay. You have more things about you. And here is my favorite slide. Everybody see that? Sexual orientation is one part of that puzzle. I like this one because it puts it together. I feel like it's one part of a puzzle. Your race is there. And when you enter the room, I can tell you, people see you're black before anything else. Your physical ability, your culture, your age, your skills, your gender, your nationality, your ethnicity, your thinking style, your job level, the language you have, your religion, it's all a part of who you are. And we have to stop allowing people to boil us down to one part of our identity. And for those of you who are asking, you want to see the slide, you have to get into the Zoom. Remember, this is an official Zoom, so I'm focusing on the people in the room. And if you look on my page or you look on Delta Family Services, you can see the Zoom link. Our Delta manager is right in the room here, and she'll give you access to the room. So it's more than that. So here's something I want us to share as black young people, black LGBTQ people. One of my favorite writers is Gloria Layden-Billings. She talks a lot about culturally relevant pedagogy. I see one of my amazing students from Seneca in the room, and we talked a lot. Monterey, I see you, Monterey. We talked a lot about culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. And this is the woman, Gloria Layden-Billings, who framed that entire conversation. As she talked about culturally relevant and responsive pedagogy. And she talked about race. So when you want to talk about, oh my God, I want to talk about black, you can't get away from that. And she says, we enter the society raced, we come to school raced, we apply for jobs raced, we enter the marketplace raced, we can never leave our race at home or on a shelf. So because we are plagued by the social construct, we have to find ways to live our lives and participate in society with one aspect of our identity that seems to enter the room before we do. Absolutely important. So your race as a black person. I did a workshop last year for YMCA Brampton. They had an amazing workshop, and the title of that workshop was called Think Black 2S LGBTQ. Think Black 2S LGBTQ. An amazing workshop hosted by the people there at Brampton YMCA. With Ellen O'Cran and an amazing team of people there. And I can tell you something. I see somebody in the chat room saying something. Microaggression, missed the slide. Thank you for that. Okay, wonderful. Keep typing. I'm good with that. Right? And so it's important to understand who you are and who you are as an identity. Now somebody may say to ourselves, why is it seems that we are forcing everybody who is gay to identify or to come out the closet or to do. And I hear a lot of people say, I am just me. I've heard it. I don't go by labels. I don't go by titles. I am just me. I like that. I like the idea that you think you're just me. You're just you. I like the notion that you feel safe in thinking you're just you, but it's not true. It's not true. When I went to the supermarket today is my one day out. Today is my freedom day, right? I think we're in isolation. So one day a week I go out. Today is my 1 day a week day. When I walk in the supermarket, I hope you understand that everybody sees a black man walking in. Some see my height. Some may see my smile. I wear this big long black, almost a coat that looks like almost like a towel. So some people might say, wow, I like his coat. I get compliments about my coat. So you see different things. So as much as I want to say I am just me, as I walked and navigate the space, people are defining who you are. People are navigating with you. So it's a facade. It's not going to work when you don't want to figure out who you are. I'm not saying you must walk with a label. I am not saying you must wear a gay pin. I'm not saying you to wear a gay shirt and gay color. I am saying spend quality time, my young people. Spend quality time defining yourself. Not just your sexuality. Define your entire self. So this slide says, it talks about a process. Either you're going to change who you are or convert to being heterosexual. Well, that's not going to happen. Many of us have tried it, not going to work, right? Pass for heterosexual or remain in the closet. Many people are doing that well. You're passing for straight because passing is a part of a privilege. And some gay persons can pass. And if you know what pass means, it means that people just think you're okay, you're heterosexual, you're regular. But there are many of us who cannot pass. And I've heard for young people who I see that cannot pass. Because their life is constantly miserable. Because you walk on the subway, you walk on a bus, you go into a school. People look at you non-stop. You can't pass. You know, I tell people a while, like, you know, when I talk to my mom, when I came out to my mom, I said, if I wish I wasn't gay, I tried not to be gay. I really, really wish I wasn't gay. Are you kidding me? What I see gay people go through in Jamaica, what I was going through, who want to call them gay on themselves? Who want to call gay on themselves? The last thing I wanted to be was gay. But that's how people treat you so bad that you don't want to be who you are. And then I come to the place where I know who I am and I love me. So we talk about visibility. So why is identity and coming out important? So in the book, I have about 4 models of coming out, sexual orientation, identification, formation. This is one of my favorite ones. And it's funny. I don't know if you all noticed. It's from 1979. That for me was one of the things that attracted me to it. I was like, wow, 1979. Wow. And there are later models. If you look, you'll see later models. But this one is from 1979. And it's a continuum. So if you notice the arrow goes that way, it's a continuum. And if stage 1 says identity awareness. I want you to take a minute to look what stage 1 says. The stage of sexual orientation. Identity awareness or confusion. That's not what I said. That's what the research from 1979 is saying. If you are not aware of who you are constantly living in confusion. Constantly living in confusion. And it's funny because a couple of minutes ago when I asked the question about what does living on the edge mean, you see how many person type the word confusion. It's confusing. The next step is identity comparison. So you look at people and you say, but why am I not like him? Why can't I kiss the girls like him? Why can't I play basketball like him? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do? You keep on, it's an identity comparison. And then you go to a place of identity tolerance. Tolerance for your own self, but people are having tolerance for you. And a lot of us, I'm sure you heard years ago, people said, you know, I don't like gay people, but I can tolerate them. And at one point, many of us were taken to be tolerated because we had nothing, so we accept tolerate. Excuse me a minute. The fact that you wasn't going to kill me, I was happy that you could tolerate me. So I was happy. Tolerating was fine. I want to see what people are saying. I have to go to the chat for a minute, everybody. Somebody here says, you know, right. October 11 coming out days. Not for everybody can have serious circle. Absolutely. Tolerate as if we have a bad smell. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. It's a big thing. It's a big thing, right? It's a big thing. We get to some questions, as I said, at the end of it in a minute, right? So, tolerating is step 3. I want you to get it. Tolerance is step 3. We have 6 steps. So, when you are tolerating someone, or when you allow yourself just to be tolerated, you are only halfway there to your identity formation. I want to repeat that to everyone. I want to repeat that, everyone. When you are at the identity stage of identity tolerance on the CAS 1979 model, you're only halfway there. I just saw Professor Lance McCready step in my Facebook group, and Dr. McCready, I just read from your book a couple quotes. So thank you for this, an amazing book, Dr. Lance McCready in the house. Thank you so much for that. And so you're halfway there. I want you to understand that just for a minute, that the fact that what you have done is accepted to be tolerated, you are only halfway from a space of sexual orientation identity. So you're living half your life. You're living your life half full or half empty, whatever you want to see. You're living half. And then we go to identity acceptance. Now let me just stop for a minute and say this to you. This is not going to happen in one day. So for anyone who thinks this not going to happen in one day. This not going to happen in one day. Identity acceptance, it takes time. So I remember, I think my identity acceptance happened somewhere in the Bahamas. And maybe when I went to the Bahamas, I think me accepting who I was happened somewhere in the Bahamas between 2001 and maybe 2003. I came into myself. This is me. That was when I started not being so scared of going to the gay club or being scared of telling somebody I like them and hiding and scared somebody would find an email or find something from me. That's when I accepted myself. And then identity pride. You come to a place where you not only tolerate, but now you come to a place where you have pride in who you are. Can you imagine what young people right now, because many of you are in the Zoom, you are young people, you are going through that. My heart bleeds because I know as a young person in this room right now, you are not at the identity pride stage. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. And it's going to take you a while to get to that stage of pride and identity. And I'm happy that there are opportunities like what Delta Family Service has offered you to have somebody like me to come and talk to you. And I know I'm not going to be the only person who's going to ever speak to you. And you're going to have other guides and mentors to get you to a place where you get to love yourself and hella love yourself. Because it's not, I'm going to say something now, get ready for this one. It's not easy to love yourself when you have been taught you are not to be loved. I was taught I was nasty. When I was young, I was taught I was nasty. And then, of course, I was always called, sissy or the dirty one, the Batman word. And then when I love church, and I will always love church because I'm a Jesus boy and I will always love Jesus. And that's a part of me, religion. So many of you don't do church, that's fine. But I do religion. I do the upstairs man. But I don't play with church people anymore. And I say that publicly. Church people don't mess with me anymore because I don't pay them that kind of mind. But I'm going to tell you, in church, I learned. So remember now, when I was small, I learned I was nasty. When I was in high school, I learned something was wrong with me. I learned I wasn't the regular boy. I wasn't not this. I don't know what kind of boy I was, but I wasn't the regular boy. I learned I talk like a girl, so I had the wrong voice. I walk like a girl, so I had the wrong walk. I was black. I was poor. So let's add that to it. I live in a small house. Let's add that to it. And then I go to church for solace, to find Jesus who loves me. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. Red and yellow, black and white, all are precious in his sight. And then I was told I was demon possessed. So now I'm nasty. I am poor, I'm black, don't have not much money, I'm nasty, I'm a batty man, I don't walk like a man, I don't talk like a man. And now I'm demon possessed. And then I can't go to heaven. And Jesus don't like me like that. He like me, but he don't want me like gay. And I am always gay. So every day I'm trying to fight for Jesus' love. Every day I'm speaking from my heart. I'm speaking from my experience, everybody. Every day I'm fighting for Jesus' love because I'm nasty and I'm demon possessed. And that's why some of you young people, you're fighting for the love of your mother and your father and your sisters and your brothers every single day, because you know they don't see you in the way you see in certain way. So can you imagine the work it will take for you to fall in love with yourself and to have identity pride? So it's going to take some work. So we're not going to have it all done tonight because it's going to take work. But I want you to take a picture of this and write it down. Put it somewhere on your wall in your bedroom and circle it. Circle that. You want to get to that place of pride and identity synthesis. And what does identity synthesis mean? For me, it means I have put every single thing in perspective. And I now can identify who I am. I can express who I am. I can explain who I am. And I can do that in words, and I can do that in deeds. I can do that from just what I wear. I can do that from entering a room. All right, so let's move on now from that, and we're going to go into LGBTQ youth, mental health, and wellness. I was on a workshop, I told you, Wednesday, and I was so happy when I heard the presenter, soon to be Dr. Leomon Cartier, and he kept using the word wellness. But I didn't even, I was happy because I don't use the word illness, because they're two different things. I want to talk about mental health and wellness. And so when he said it, it was so powerful. And think about, so why do you think I went from identity to wellness? Because think of the damage. Think of the damage I've done to you, Black LGBT young people, when you're constantly fighting to be seen, to be heard, to be alive, to feel well, to be accepted, to strive. You know, think about going to school. Why is it important? Why is it important? Because I see you in classrooms. I see you scared in classrooms. I see you scared on the subway. I see you scared to smile. I see you scared you're holding your hand so stiff because you don't want your wrist to break. I see you hiding on a basketball court, behaving all rough because you don't want nobody to think you're gay. I see you having sex with 5, 6 girls, just being promiscuous, because if you have sex with enough women, people are going to say you are straight. You do it. You do it. So that's what is happening. And that gives you anxiety. It gives you stress. Can you imagine the stress of making love and having sex with people that you have no sexual feelings for? Think about that. Think about that. Think about the mental illness, the mental health, and the mental illness that you incorporate in yourself. The depression, the stress, the panic, the anxiety, the grief, the shame that is constant, trying to keep up, trying to be somebody else. So there's some data. Please take pictures of the data for me. That data comes to us from the Human Rights Campaign Foundation. It's a beautiful paper I found, and it talks about, because of stigma and discrimination, LGBTQ youth are more likely than non-LGBTQ youth to struggle with their mental illness. The facts are there. Please take a picture. The data is there. 60% of LGBTQ youth reported being so sad or hopeless they stopped doing some of their usual activity. Remember what I said about the story at the beginning? So, you know, when you see some people sulky and they're by themselves and they don't want to do anything, we have to get them out of that rut, people. Mentors, teachers, educators, allies, we have to get our young people out of that kind of rut and stigma so they can live their best life. I want you for a minute to think, if I was still on the run, I like that term, on the run. If I was still on the run, if I was still hiding, I could never be the person I am today. And I have to say that because I want you to get this so you understand this. You not living your life, your best life, and you hiding from most of yourself, it's affecting, watch me carefully, not just your mental health. It's affecting your profession, your education, your career, your money, your ideas, your talents, your gifts, your ability. And that is why as an educator, I choose to do my advocacy in education. You know the reason why? Because we have a very gendered curriculum, and I'm sick and tired of seeing a little boy who is gifted says, I don't want to learn how to sew because people are going to think I'm gay. And I say to them, every single designer we know today who are millionaire, they are men. Name them. Karl Lagerfeld, man. Versace, you keep naming them. They're all men. A lot of designers. And parents, you are to be blamed. Parents, because there are parents who are listening to me, I know. You are to be blamed for not allowing your child to go after that dream because they may look gay. So we are punishing now and having people struggle. Let me go back to the chat box because I want to say what people are saying. Somebody says, I was told I'm a disgrace to the family just last year. Huh. Yeah. Don't believe that. Spit it out. Don't even believe that. Spit out that foolishness. Don't take that in. Don't swallow that. That's how Dr. ABC speak. For those who don't know me, that's how I speak. Don't you swallow that. You spit that out. Somebody said, thanks for sharing that. Because when I was younger, my family members would say that indirectly to my brothers, which also influenced their thoughts and their mentality. Homophobia is the real disgrace. Thank you for that, Kevin. Absolutely. So I want you to understand why. I explained to my mother, I'm going to tell you a very personal story. I came out to my mother, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I came out to my mother because I wanted to talk to her properly because I was going to publish a book. I was going to do stuff. I wanted to make my mother know, let my mom know. And she went through a really, rough time. And we'll talk about that in our part 2 because you have to give people time to also process. Some persons don't agree with that, but I believe people need time to process because you have to remember, your parents were also taught what needs to happen. So my mother was taught that she has a son, he's going to grow up, he's going to get married, he's going to have a wife, he's going to have 2 children, and he's going to live happy ever after in a big house with a white picket fence, a dog, and a cat. That's what we teach. So when she see me moving away from those things, she's worried. Of course she's going to be worried. And I just sit my mother down and talk to my mother. My mom called me one day, I'm going to tell you, and she said to me, older parents, they could breathe deep, right? Especially old Caribbean parents. So she, at a breathe sign, she said, somebody tell me you're activist on Facebook. I said, Mommy, what does that mean? I just sit my mother and I said, Mommy, I am a school teacher. I used to be a student. I know what happens in school to little boys and girls who are gay, who are lesbian, who are queer, who don't even know, they don't even have labels. They're just different. Let's take away the labels for a minute. They are just different. I know what happens in school to those kids. And as a school teacher, my job is to help to liberate those kids. Oh yes, I am that teacher. And I said, that's my job, Mommy. I have to do that. And that is why my first book about LGBT says the invisible student in the Jamaican classroom. I'm going to be working on my next book, and it's going to be about our lived experience. Now that we are visible, how do we live visible lives that are healthy and successful? Because being visible is one thing. Living a healthy, successful life is a whole different story. And there are people who are struggling with that. Okay? And so it's important for you to understand how mental health ties in with LGBTQ issues. Anybody's going through, let me just say this. The thing that some of us go through, I don't know how we're alive today. I don't know how we're here today. So it's important. So let's move on quickly with this. There's another one. It talks about LGBTQ adults. So the adults in the room right now, it says there, LGBTQ adults are more likely than others to have mental health or substance use problem. It's a lot going on, people, and we have to come to a place. So here is my first data I'm sharing with you. So look on the slide. It says 121 person participate in the conversation. Like it's not I don't call it a research. I call it a conversation we have with LGBTQ people. And I said where respondents felt most hated. And if you look on the slide, it says school. Most people, school. You see where the second one is at, everybody? Community. So I am trying to explain to you why this is so important. Why as an educator, your job is to really deal with young people in school who are going through LGBTQ issues. And as a community leader, I see a lot of you amazing community leaders in the room. This is what you need to understand. That within the home community, that's where they are hurting. That's where they are hurting. So I want you to get that. Those are 3 articles from the Jamaican newspaper. I captured those. CVM News Report, 23-year-old Ricardo Morgan accused of being gay, chopped to death in a gang in Torrington Park. This happened in 2011 in Jamaica. Again in 2011, CVM News Report, 16-year-old O'Shane Gordon of Lilliput was chopped to death by a mob after he was accused of having questionable relations with another man. And then in 2013, Dwayne Jones was killed by a mob as he attended a dance. He was 14. I want you to understand, I have chills. I want you to understand, that's a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old. That's somebody's little boy. I cried when I heard this news. This is a little boy. He's 14. I'm a school teacher. I have had tons of 14-year-old people in my class. These are little boys who don't own any kind of real identity as yet. And as adults, we place our identity on them and call them derogatory names, discriminate, and then we abuse them and murder them, hurt them. And then we wonder why they have mental health issues and why they are wanting to commit suicide. After you have done the deed to the person, you ask them why you're doing that. I don't know if you grew up in Jamaica like myself. When you get a spanking from your parents, years ago we get a spanking, and your parents would spanking and ask you why you're crying. Anybody remember that? When your mother was spanking, she said, "Why you crying?" And you want to say, "Mommy, you just spanked me." But we couldn't say that. So we move on with our lives. I'm going back to the chat room again because I like to see what you're saying. People say, "Thank you for the work." Okay, some people saying thanks. Happens here in Canada. Happens here in Canada, Henry. Happens here in Canada. Kevin says something very lovely. Thinking about the colonial and patriarchal roots to this hatred. Gillette, I want you to capture that line for me, Gillette, for a minute. I want you to capture, we can talk about that in our next session. Thinking about the colonial and patriarchal roots to this hatred. It's a lot. We were taught to hate our black bodies. We were taught to hate the black body. We were taught, I don't want to get into that too much, but no wonder we are struggling to love each other. No wonder we have to be hashtag black love every day. No wonder every single minute you hear somebody after hashtag black love, because love don't look like us. Love don't look like what we look like. We don't trust ourselves with love. We're always going out of ourselves to find love. And that's why I preach self-love so much, because I believe in that. I'm not in love with myself. I love myself. I am single and looking. Absolutely. But I love myself first. So when you come to me, you're going to come good, because you're going to reach somebody who is all in love with himself first. So it's important that self-love, that hatred you said, Kevin, it's taught. Absolutely. So, the young people are in the room. Many of you disengage in school. Why do they disengage? And I'm going to list for you why people disengage. It says home and school crisis, name calling, bullying, physical abuse, lack of feeling isolation, lack of self-confidence, low self-esteem, lack of trust, fear, molestation, awkwardness. You know how many of our young people have been sexually molested and abused because they go to someone to find to figure out what they're feeling. And instead of sitting them down to explain to them what they're feeling, they abuse them. So that's another thing we have to also, because next part 2, which I said to you is a closed session, we're going to talk about sex and miseducation. You know, parents, let me say this to you, parents. When give me a minute. I saw Dr. Lance McCready say something and I want to capture that. Dr. Lance McCready says, what does it mean to decolonize our black communities as black LGBTQ youth can thrive in school and community? So Juliet, I want you to pair that with what Henry said, because it's very, I want to really talk about that the next time. Dr. Lance McCready, I'm going to read it again. It says, what does it mean to decolonize our black communities so black LGBTQ youth can thrive in school and community? And it's funny, Dr. McCready, that you came in late and you used the word thrive, because in my first slide, that was what I talked about, what the meaning of thrive means. And a lot of us are not thriving, because thrive is different from just grow. Yes, if you're 1 this year, you're going to be 2 next year. And hopefully 2023, if it's still keeping, you're going to be 3 or 4. But that's just growing. That's just what you call matric, that's going from one step to the next. Thriving is different. Thriving is different. And thank you for that, Damien. We have to root up the matter, Damien. We have to root it up. We have to root it up. So I say to you, parents, in the room, because I see some parents in the room, when you say to when you curse at your LGBTQ young people and you make them feel like everything about them is bad, their whole body is so nasty. The first time somebody touched them with a good touch, what do you think is going to happen? Can I tell you something? In this book, I had, this was very heavy for me when I realized the number of persons who said to me, I had sex when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 12. And I'm going to shock you right now, Kevin. I see you shaking. I'm going to shock you with this one. It affected me so much because half of those persons, listen to me carefully. I want you to listen to me. They believed that sex was love. I'm gonna let you take that for 1 minute while I sip my water. Adults who were interviewed in my book expressed to me that the sex they had at 13, 14 with a bigger man, an adult, the abuse, the rape, the molestation, they believe even as an adult that was love. And it made me stop to think. I am yet to unpack that, and maybe we're going to have some of the psychologists in the room like Juliet Allen and Leo Moncati and other person who do this to help me unpack that, because I think I unpacked it, but sometimes I want to go back to it again, because as an adult they still believe that was love. Because that was the first time somebody showed them love. The person may have had sex with them, and their argument was the person cared for them also. So it wasn't a rape and a runaway. It was whatever. It was almost a relationship. But no, that cannot be a relationship. And we have to teach our young people that cannot be a relationship. When somebody's taking advantage of you like that, that's not love. Ellen says, I want to go to our chat room, everybody, because I want the participation. Ellen says, I feel like 2S LGBTQ standards are so limited because it is built on a westernized way of being 2S LGBT. Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, Ellen. And I think that's what Dr. McCready mentioned. We're colonized. How we think about how gay should be, we're colonized. I'm going to give you a joke, Ellen. When I met you first, you remember when I said to you, when you walked through and your head was wrapped and I smiled at a big conference where you were in charge, your head was wrapped and you gave me the most beautiful African print, which is being made into a fabulous cape. And I smiled. I fell in love with you immediately because I said, this is a woman, a black woman who knew who she is. You have worked on yourself, and I could figure that out by your own energy. And I like what Shaniqua said. Thank you for that. You talk about sexual violence is so normalized. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to go back. And like I said to you before, we're coming back to this very topic. Then part 2, which is a closed group section, we'll talk about sex. We're going to talk about sex. Because the sexual abuse, they said, is so normalized. And I hear what you're saying, Henry, about the westernized way. So good stuff in the chat box, and we're going to capture some of those comments. Good chat, everybody. You are giving me all kind of life, and I'm living for you all right now. So let's get to we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes. So stick with us. We're to the home stretch. So the following is a list of struggles that they're currently facing. So when I wrote the book, a number of persons said what they are currently facing. They are no longer in the closet now. They're no longer in the closet. Here's what they are facing. Listen to the list carefully. And it's also in the book. It says, having a true sense of belonging. Family support was lacking. Hate, the continuous need to be careful. Developing true intimate relationships. We talk about it. You wonder why some of us are so damaged. You wonder why. I was questioning the other day why it seems some people go from one boyfriend to the next. They're always in love. Have you ever met anybody who's always in a relationship? They're always in love. They're always in love. They break up Friday and they fall in love again on Monday. You're not in love. And I know some of you don't like how I talk, but that's fine. That's the DR.ABC way. You're not in love. You're not in love. You are so scared of being by yourself. You have to attach to someone. And you keep on attaching yourself. You keep on attaching yourself to something all the time. You're not in love. I say you are not in love. You can't fall out of love on Friday and back in love on Monday with somebody new. And then 5 months after you break up and then you fall in love the next week again. It says there, the research says it. It's a continuous problem in developing intimate relationships, quality relationships, anxiety and nervousness. And this is what I love. I love this one. Creating healthy friendships. A lot of our LGBTQ people are struggling with developing friendships. Friendship is hard because every relationship comes with a requirement. It comes with an ask. You know, I did something for a bank one day, and they said to me, "What is the ask?" And it's a new word I'm learning. It comes with an ask. Building trust, loneliness. Loneliness is a big one. Lack of visual role models and the mental drain. So let's take it to the home stretch now. I think we are 50 minutes to the home stretch. Let's take it home, everybody. So we talk about how, gay men are vulnerable. We had some quotes there from Rowan 2019. And I have another wonderful quote there from this book that I love. Another book that I'm reading. It's called The Ultimate LGBT Guide for Queer Teens. And another one from a professor I work with at Queens. This is written by Lee Artrion from Queens. Very good one. So I have a bunch of books that I read and get my stuff. So I don't come to you from a misinformed post. I come to you from an informed position, but I also come with my lived experiences, right? So let's move on. So get ready. And I wish everybody who was on Facebook was in the chat room now, so you could see, the Zoom, so you could see these slides. So, taking us to the end of the workshop for today. There's somebody standing at the edge. There's somebody standing at the edge. And what is it what I want to leave with you today is who or what will pull you from the edge. So I'm going to do an activity. I didn't plan to do this, but I feel the need to do this. I want everybody to go to the chat box for me again. Juliet, put up the chat box. I want everybody to go to the chat box for me again. And I want you to write for me, everybody, whether you're ally, LGBTQ parent, think about an LGBTQ person. Think about yourself. And I want you to write for me who or what you think. Just write one thing or two will pull you from the edge. Let me see what people are saying. Go ahead and write that for me. Or what you think is going to pull us from the edge. Thank you, Henry. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for the. I see all the good stuff you're writing, and I'm very, very happy. And if I use any of it in my next workshop, I will quote you on it. I promise. The last thing I will do is steal your sharing. Kevin said affirming others. Thank you, Kevin. Ellen says my friends. We soon get to that. Positive social support. Thank you again. Gillette says books. Mention the books for the folks. I'm going to mention the books again. Yes. Gillette, remember to mention them again at the end. Okay, Gillette? Please remember. Understanding. Naloxone. Okay? Ourselves. Faith. My daughter. I love that. Let me see on Facebook. On Facebook, people tell me. Write for me. Who or what you think will pull you from the edge? Oh, sorry, Megan. That's okay, Megan. Hope. Megan says hope, understanding, faith, ourselves. Who or what you think will pull you from the edge? Let's get it into it. Share with me on Facebook, everybody. As we're talking about books, Dr. Lance McCready also shared a book on Facebook. I'm going to get that one called Love Streets, Drifting Towards Love. Right? Is that the name of the book, Dr. McCready? Drifting Toward Love. And as you want to talk about the other book, somebody was asking, I'm going to show. So this book is my book, The Invisible Student. This is a book by Dr. Lance McCready, as I told you about. Chosen Family and Friends. Thank you for that. This is the next book I'm talking about, which I like. It's a good one. It's for teens. Very good for teens. Queer by Kathy Belge and Mark Bisich. And then this one it has a lot to do with religion also, and your gender. So you can take pictures of these for sure, okay? And I'll show them again later on. Thank you for that. People said community, faith, each other, faith, my older sister. It's funny. It's funny the number of people who use children, my daughter, people. I like it. All right, so let's get to the home stretch. Thank you so much. Let's get to the home stretch, everybody. So here's what I have for you. Actions. Pulling yourself from the edge. Here are the actions I want you to take. The first action is, before we get into action, I wanted just to show you that picture of representation. Representation matters. And all of us who are strong, grown, men, women, bisexual, LGBTQ, queer people, who have the strength to be mentors and community leaders, I want you to understand that we need you. The young people need you. Don't pay them any mind when they have attitude and be dramatic. They need you. Every now and then, let me tell you something. I'm going to share something very personal with you. My Facebook inbox is a beautiful place. Every now and again, somebody send me something crazy. I don't pay them any mind. But it's a beautiful place. Because every now and then I get the most beautiful message from young LGBTQ people asking me a question or thanking me. The other day, I spoke on my live about certain things, and I had more than one young LGBT black young person right in Toronto here send me an inbox message. Thank you for that word, Dr. Campbell, DR.ABC, Andrew, whatever you want to call me. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. And for me, that's my purpose. My purpose is more than being fabulous. I am fabulous. If you don't think so, that's too bad. But my purpose is also to be fabulous. My purpose is more than to just talk. My purpose is more than to go out in the street and do this. My purpose is to inspire. When I'm dead and gone, I want to make sure that a young person says that Dr. Campbell tell him that. Dr. Campbell shared this. So many of you, representation matters. And when you're a big, mature woman and man and LGBTQ person, and the young people are calling upon you to represent, please be okay with it. Please be okay with it. Some of you have the beautiful backyard. Have a domino tournament one day. Invite all the gay people in your backyard. Cook some chicken for them and talk to them. They want that role model. Tell them how to teach them the good ways. Because a lot of them not getting the good ways. They're living on the edge. Remember, no, they're living on the edge. They're hurting. They're angry. They're pissed. They're mad. They're being disenfranchised. And if you have come through that, it's your job to look back and pull somebody forward. That's what I try to do. I could fold my hands and say, child, I went through so much shit when I was young. Let them go to the shit themselves. But no, that's not what the world is made of. And then you call yourself an advocate. No. Advocate is an adjective, darling. Advocate is an adjective. You whatever. I see English teacher in the room. English teacher in the room. They will tell you. All right. So let's get into the lessons. The closing. Number one. I hope you love that slide. Everybody love that slide. You love that slide, everybody. It took me a while to create it, so I hope you love it. And I hope my Toronto people see themselves in the slide. So my things I'm going to leave with you right now. The first one is find yourself. Write it down. First one, find yourself. Work on finding yourself. Work on finding yourself. Go to the continuum. Find yourself. There's a song that sing by the Queen Beyonce, and she said, "I am more than what you made of me." Anybody know that song? By Beyonce, and she says, "I am more than what you made of me." Young people, find yourself. Because if you don't find yourself, they're going to keep calling you all kind of stuff and tell you what you should be. When people said to me, Batty Boy, I said, okay. I said, maybe you should call me Dr. Batty Boy. That would be cute. Maybe you want to call me Professor Batty Boy. Yeah? Okay? Yeah. Find yourself. Find who you are. The number two thing is find your resilience. Number two, find your resilience. Why do I want to find yourself resilience, young people? Because it's not always going to be somebody there to catch you. It's not right for me to tell you that somebody's going to always be there to catch you. That's not true. So I want you to find your resilience. And I want to show you something on this page on my Facebook, on my book. So get ready to look at some sites for me quickly. So this is the mental health site of Sherburne Health. Sherburne Health. It has some help. So those are some. I put that there because I wanted to show you that you are not alone. And there are places you can go to get help. But I also want you to understand the resilience is a part of the work that I want you to find. There's also Rainbow Services at CAMH. CAMH, I put it there. Rainbow Service at CAMH. Lesbian, and there's also the Youth Line. So the Youth Line is there also, and I can show this at the end again, Gillette. If you want me to capture it, I can show it at the end again. Black Cap has a website called My Black is Healthy. It's a beautiful website to look at, to talk about mental health and sex and all this stuff. Black Cap also has a series, because I'm part of Black Cap, a series of mental health and wellness and self-care circle, lifestyle circle. So I want you to think about that, okay? All right. So let's get back into where we are at. Back to my slide. So number two was what? Number one was find yourself. Number two was find your resilience. Number three, get ready for this. Find your resistance. Number three, find your resistance. And you see what I did. That's a picture of me. I know a lot of people are thinking, is that you? That is me. That was the first time in my life I wear a pumps to pride. Find your resistance. And thank you. I hope those of you in Zoom is seeing. Please continue doing that for me, Leo, and everybody else. Please continue. I see Kevin talking about queer resources, and Leo talks about the CAMH and Spacey. So continue sharing. You see why I love my people? You see why I love you all? Because you are the kind of people I want to be around. Sharing the resource. Sharing it. Don't keep it for yourself. So find your resistance. Find your resistance, people. Find your resistance. That is me resisting. It became a big thing that somebody said they saw me in heels somewhere in Toronto. I did it for resistance. And I still have that heels, and I can't wait for them to free us from quarantine so I could put it on and walk outside. Because, child, I've been locked up for too long. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done. Thank you for that. So number three, find your resistance. We are coming down. This phone is getting a little bit tired. The next one is, I love this slide. I hope you love this slide. Number four, find your hope. You love that slide? You see where the sky is at? And the step, there is hope. I have to teach hope. I have to teach hope. I have to teach faith. I have to teach courage. I have to teach it will get better. I have to teach that because our young people, they are lacking in that. Nobody's telling them that they can be more. They can be amazing. And I see more on the chat box. I see more people are sharing resources. Do it. You're making me so proud tonight. The next one, number 4, find your hope. And I want you to see this one. Find your strength. I wish you on Facebook was in the Zoom to see this picture that I use. Find your strength. Because that's what it is for some of us. We have to bud, we have to grow through that level of roughness and hardship. Find your strength. And I love this one. Number 4, the next one. Find your people. Find your people. You have to find your people. That's why so many of us are lonely and we are hurting. We have no people. It was a pleasure having you in the room, Lance. We're like 5 minutes to the end. So thank you so much for being here with me on Facebook. Find your people. Find your people. We need people. Find your voice. Find your voice. You have to speak up for yourself, people. Find your voice. And we're going to talk about that, young people, when we meet next time in our closed session. You can ask me, how do I find my voice, Dr. Campbell? And I will tell you, because your voice don't mean you have to shout, Your voice can be through poetry. Your voice can be through singing. Your voice can be through writing. Your voice can be through a blog. I wish more of you young people would write blogs. Blogs. Real blogs. Just a paragraph. I wish many of you young people would write poem. I know 3 people right now who have a whole bunch of poems and they are waiting to publish them. And I'm going to tell you this. I know their names and I see one of you on Facebook now. I am going to come back to you and ask you for that poem next year. Because it's your voice. I want you to use it. Don't be locking it up in some box. Find your voice. If you write songs and nobody wants to nobody wants you to sing them, publish them like a book of songs. A book of lyrics of songs. Some of you have written 50 songs and you sit on it till the song is going to be out of style soon. Publish them. Call them a book of lyrics. Since no record company going to make you sing right now. Huh? Find your joy. That picture is from Jamaica Gay Pride. I was there in Jamaica to see Gay Pride. I laughed so much. I could laugh. That was so much joy. Find your joy. Find your joy. The next one, find your happiness. And I put relationship and couples kissing and hugging. I put that there for a reason. Happiness is not in somebody else. But I also want you to understand we need people. And that's why we're going to talk about relationships. You need relationships. We are not made to be by ourselves. I am in quarantine in this house by myself. You know what I'm saying? I have to pray daily to keep myself. Because I'm not supposed to be by myself. Right? But I'm surviving. I'm okay. But we're supposed to be connecting. Good thing I have friends who connect with me all the time. So I'm not lonely. I'm only being extra dramatic as usual. I'm good. But find your happiness. And the last one, find your power. Find your power. I need you all to understand that. Find your power. And that picture is of a young man I know who is now living in another country because he had to leave Jamaica. But amazing, strong image of a black, young LGBTQ person living in a very, very rough side of the mountain. That's power. And then my favorite slide I always share at the end of all my workshops. Every workshop I go, I have this slide. Leave the door open. Leave the door open for possibilities. Leave the door open for love. Leave the door open for growth. And for you young people who are with me this evening, leave the door open for forgiveness. Leave the door open for forgiveness. I feel like to say that for a reason. Leave the door open for forgiveness. Forgiving yourself. Forgiving others. I feel the need to share that. Leave the door open for forgiveness. All right? So that's our time. I'm going to take maybe one or two questions, and then we will ask Juliet to move the thank you and the final comments. So do we have one or two questions? I think Summers, you typed them all out. Amazing. Thank you so much. Any questions? You can type your questions. We can put it in the chat box. We can put it in the chat box, or we could type your questions. I'm going to move away from the slide. I'm going to stop sharing my thing. Awesome. And I'm going back to the room. Wonderful. Good to see everybody in the room, or the names or the pictures. And if you want to come on camera, you can come on camera. If you don't want, you just stay right where you are with your fabulous self. All right. So let's see what we said in the chat box here. If there have any questions. I know there won't be a lot of questions, but if you have any, we'll take one or two of those. Okay. We get a lot of thank you. I see a lot of people in the room. I get a lot of thank you. How many persons we have in the room tonight? We have 28 people, and we have about another 20 something on Facebook. Question? Okay. Megan says, where can we find information for your future events? Oh, so I was going to share that information. So yes, I have a website. So if you look on my page, my Instagram is at Teachable Moments with Dr. ABC. Just like that. At Teachable Moments with Dr. ABC. My Facebook is also Teachable Moments with Dr. ABC. But LinkedIn is perfect. You can find me on LinkedIn. And when you find me on LinkedIn, you can follow me. And here comes the good news, everybody. I want you to type it now so you could see it. You can go to my website. It's in the making. And you can actually send me an email. 2 persons sent me an email from my website already. And I got it. So I'm getting it. So you can go to my website. I want to share the world tonight. My website is, get ready for this, all dramatic, drabc.ca. Look at that. Look at that. drabc.ca. That's it. drabc.ca. I felt so cute when I went and I realized it was available. So there's no other Dr. ABC out there. Thank you, Jesus. So it's no dot, just DRABC, drabc.ca. Find me there. You'll see all my notices there, and you can send me messages there. This is what I do for a living, so send the work my way, okay? I do talks, I do everything. You'll see everything there. So let me go through the books again for those who want to see the book. This book is my book. You can get on Amazon. It's on Amazon. This is the one I showed you, the gender guide from the professor at Queen's, Dr. Lee Artron from Queen's. Really good book. I like it. I really like it. The queer book. This one is called Queer, Ultimate Guide for LGBTQ for Teens. And Making Space, Dr. Lance McCready book, Making Space, and I have a bunch of other, but those are the ones. But I also want to let you know that I'm starting to work on book 2 of this, because some of you said something so amazing. The Black experience is different, and I'm not trying to push my book, but when you are Black, you get Black experience. When you read through this book, these are what Black people are saying. Every single person who was interviewed in this book had to be someone from Jamaica. So it's 121 Jamaicans. They are living all over the world, from Paris to Germany to UK to America, but they are all Jamaican. What I'm going to do for my next book is to open it up to right here in Toronto to anybody from any part of the world. If you are any African, because I want to hear from my African brothers and my sisters and more of my LGBTQ people. And I'm going to be having some focus group, and we're going to have some conversation. And my focus group always come to my house, and you get free food. So if I ask to be my focus group, I'm going to take good care of you, okay? So there are no questions. Thank you so much, everybody. It's been a pleasure serving you. And I want to let the LGBTQ special young people in the room, because this is for you. This is for you. This is for you. That when we meet next face-to-face, Juliet, we're going to plan that. It's going to be a closed session. And I want you to come with your questions. Don't you hide your questions. You ask me all the questions. Let us talk. Let us spend quality time. I think we're going to have maybe about 2 to 3 hours, right, Juliet? With some good food. We're going to close the door. Some good food. So if you want to be a part of that, if you're a Black LGBTQ person and you want to be a part of that, contact Delta Family Services, Gillette Allen or Altia, and they are the coordinators. Altia and is a coordinator. She's an amazing powerhouse, and she is amazing. You know what? I must give some credit, Gillette. People ask me, who did that flyer? Who did that flyer? And I said, Altia. Amazing. The flyer was one of my best flyers I've ever seen. It was done by her. So she does digital work. So yes, let's spread the love and spread the money, okay? So if you want to be a part of that closed session, contact Delta Family Service, not me directly. I am only hired by them to do this workshop. So thank you so much, everyone. Gillette, over to you for your final words and your final wrap up.
I just want to say big thanks for a great session, for all the information that you've left us with.